everyone, welcome to today's yoga video, and I thought it might be a good idea for our first video to talk about some basic yoga alignment and how yoga alignment can affect our practice. So when we're in proper alignment, we're going to be able to help prevent injury. In yoga, we are stretching our muscles, and there's always the possibility that we could overstretch something. One way to avoid this is making sure that we are staying in alignment and we know our limits. Yoga happens on your mat and not on somebody else's. It has nothing to do with all the poses that you see on Instagram. It's what is happening in the here and now and what your body is capable of. So if we can push aside our want to compare ourselves to others, that's a good place to start. Let's leave our ego off the mat. And when it comes to alignment, we want to keep our body in a line to make sure that we aren't going to accidentally tweak something. Like when we're in a lunge, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we could accidentally hurt our knees. So another ground rule I'd like to set is if at any point you start to feel pain, come out of the pose. Take a child's pose. Take a rest. You never want to push your body into the point of pain. There might be a little bit of discomfort if you're trying a new pose, or if you're starting to push yourself to go deeper into the pose. That's normal, but we never want to truly be in pain. So for starters, let's take the easy seated position that I'm currently in right now. This can be with your legs crossed like mine, be out in front of you like this, whatever just is comfortable for you. And then we want to think about what our backs look like. So keeping our back straight, having one line that goes from the bottom of your sit bone all the way up your spine, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. Everything in one line, looking straight ahead. This might take a little bit of practice, of course. Might need to use a wall for reference when you first get started out. Then let's come into table pose. In table pose, you want your wrist underneath your shoulders, everything in that straight line, and then keeping your hips over your knees. This will also be good for when we start to do cat-cow variations. So cow, dropping your stomach down, arching your back, heart comes forward. And then cat, rounding out the spine, tucking the tailbone. And when we do this movement, you want to have all of the movements start from your tailbone and the rest follows. And come back into neutral. And exhale, come down into child's pose. In child's pose, arms can be out in front of you, like mine if you prefer to do an extended, or down by your sides with hands by your feet. When we're in child's pose, we want our butts to be on our heels, essentially. So another thing that you could do if you can't quite get there is put your hands on top of each other underneath your forehead, or you could use a block and rest your forehead on that. It's all about comfort and finding the proper alignment. So coming back into table, and then curl your toes underneath you and push back into downward dog. To find a good downward dog, come into plank. And actually, while we're here in plank, I want shoulders to be directly over your wrists and keeping in a straight line. And then to push back into downward dog without adjusting your feet or your hands. While in downward dog, keep your shoulders rolled down your back so you're not hunched up like this. Relaxing the shoulders, relax the neck, And while we're here, legs should remain active. Maybe a slight bend in the knees. Again, we want to protect the kneecaps. We don't want to hyperextend or lock our legs. Same goes for the elbows. You don't want those to be hyperextended. Maybe a little bit of a bend here too. And we'll inhale, left leg comes up, and exhale, coming into a high lunge. So in lunge, see knee directly over heels. And high lunge is different than warrior one. So for warrior one, shift that back leg, in this case the right leg, down, so that way it's pointing out towards the side, keeping your hips square to the front of the mat. Warrior one, and then warrior two, shifting your hips open so they're facing the side. We'll exhale, come on down, hands on either side of your feet. Take a deep breath in, and exhale, stepping back into downward dog. We'll do the same thing on the right side just to keep balance. Inhale, right leg comes up. Exhale into lunge. Watching our alignment of our knees and coming up. Go ahead and drop that back leg so that when your toes are facing the side, keeping hips square for warrior one. And open up to warrior two. While here, and you can see mine was just doing it, take a look at what your front knee is doing. Check to make sure that you're still in the same alignment. And we'll exhale, come on down, and step back into downward dog. And then we'll exhale, come down into table, and come into child's pose. So there we go. Just some basic alignment that I wanted to cover today. Thank you.